morning, everyone. I hope this finds you safe, thriving as best you can in these days, and blessed. And today, rather than giving you a thought for the day, I wanted to maybe do something with you today in terms of give you an idea that you might develop with God, and we can share it at a later date. You may remember that I said to you that I'd been looking at some visual journaling that you could do, and Justina Stevens had posted some things on YouTube that were really helpful in that respect. And one of the things she got us doing was to regard your heart as your home with God and to ask him what your home looked like in this season. And I find that really helpful because it enables me to focus on what God seems to be wanting for me at this time, and it helps me get into an alignment with that. She said to choose a shape that you like for your rooms and to lock those rooms together in a sort of plan, like a floor plan. And those rooms can be as many as you think there are. They can be connected how you think they are connected at this time, and they are for different things that are happening in your home and your heart home at this time. And then she just said begin to colour them in the same shades but maybe different intensities of colour if you wanted to do that. So I chose a shape of the rectangle for my rooms because most of them are, but I formed them into an overall heart shape, and I decided to dream about what my heart home looked like at this time. And I had a central courtyard in the middle and things around it, different rooms with different things going on, which I'll tell you about in a minute. And she also said to ask God the question at this time. Every home we know needs support beams, otherwise our roofs fall down on us and we're not safe. And it's no different in our home, our heart home. There needs to be some supporting beams in there. And she said maybe God wants to change some of the supporting beams you've put up and put some of his own supporting beams in. So ask him which two supporting beams he might like to replace at this time, and what would he replace them with, which is another way of allowing him to touch areas in our lives and begin to speak to us about how he sees things at this time. So I did that, and I began to form my picture, and I began to see what the different rooms are and what took place, and I began to see what the proportion of one room compared to another room, and it began to inform me of what God said this season is about. Psalm 18:24 says, God rewrote the text of my life when I opened the book of my heart to his eyes. So what I'm advising us to do is to open the book of our heart to God's eyes and let him rewrite the text in that book, or let him rearrange the floor plan, let him put in some supporting beams. And so when I spoke to God about the supporting beams of mine, he said this to me: I'm taking out your supporting beams of busyness and striving and the need for approval through achievement, and I'm replacing them with supporting beams of grace and rest and acceptance, because everything is finished. So I put two supporting beams into my floor plan as well as I was constructing my heart home plan. And then God said to me, the season of your heart is a season with space, not every room crammed, but things open, spacious, uncluttered and light. The wind blowing through the rooms and the light create a feeling of great calm, beauty and peace. Added to that is the sound and clarity of water, a reminder of the infinite, eternal, sheer expansiveness of God. And that was on the end of April that I made this, and I made this as my picture here. You'll notice that my rooms are all rectangles, but they all form a heart shape. That's just what it felt to do to me. And these are my supporting beams here. And this is my garden around it. And in my garden, the garden of my dreams, certainly there's water here, just the sound of it at the bottom of my house. And there's a porch and a deck that's very light, like a wraparound terrace there. And there's a lot of light in my house at the moment. And then there's trees, big trees. And then in the garden, the flowers are a mixture of cottage garden type plants and exotic type plants. So the trees are mango tree, Indian bean tree, fan palm and palm trees. All the places I love in the world have those trees. And there's lots of bamboo in my garden. That's got to be a legacy of Thailand for sure. But there's hollyhocks and delphiniums and foxgloves and primroses and bluebells, and they speak of new things springing up that will self-seed, and they're wild and they're free. So there's a mixture of the exotic with the traditional, and I think God said to me, it's quite like how I am. I am a mixture of classic and boho, and I think that's always been a little bit who I am. So my particular rooms at this time had quite a lot of rooms for rest, and if I'd done this maybe 5 years ago, it would have looked a different kind of plan. But at the moment, I had a City Life family room where the things of City Life family go on. The healing prayer, the teaching, the shaping, the fellowship, the corporate prayer, the discipleship, that kind of thing. I had an equally sized room opposite the middle room, which was the family room. And that had all my family in it, and obviously Knox, my grandson, and my mum in there. It had all those things which are taking a priority at the moment also in my life. It had a dining room because hospitality and eating together is really important to us. And then on the edges it had rooms for rest and room for space. It had a sunroom, an energizing and full of light room. And then the main big area in the middle at this time was a creative space around a courtyard. And that was for the creative things that God is asking me to spend time with him on, meeting with him in new ways, writing, praying, reflecting, and using that to worship and pray, and using it also to bless others when he prompts me to create for someone else as well. So here it is one more time, my house. What does your house look like? What does your house, your heart home, look like at this time? It may not look like this in a year's time, and it may not have looked like this 2 years before, but what does it look like now? And I think the children might also enjoy doing this, so if we can explain it to them in a simple way, I think we might get some really lovely things that we can share together on a Thursday night or on a Sunday morning. I hope God will speak to you as you give some time to letting him work on your heart and show you what he wants to put in there at this time and the season it is for you. Be very interested to really hear all that he's doing with you and seeing it in that way. It's a very helpful way of depicting things. So be blessed, enjoy. I look forward to it.